Hello Year 8. For this next part I'm going to talk you through step 2 for your mosque challenge. Again, this is about building knowledge and understanding around Islam and the mosque. Okay, so for step 2, what you need to do is start off by watching the video Holy Crypts Tour of the Mosque. That would have been attached for you in Google Classroom, and it's also been shared with you. So if you have any problems watching that, do let us know. Watch it all the way through and then give us a thumbs up or let us know that you're done in the Hangout. Okay, please ask any questions if you're unsure. But a lot of what's covered in the video Holy Cribs is going to be explained in this video as well. So your task again is to create a second mind map. Hopefully you've had some feedback on your mind map from the last task where you were looking at key facts about Islam. Remember to include lots of key details about the subject when you're making a mind map. Make sure you've got lots of branches coming off. You're aiming for keywords and key terms and details only. Okay, try to avoid copying and pasting large chunks of text, but kind of shortening it down or kind of minimizing it down so it's useful for you as an overview when you are talking about the mosque. Okay, it's always very good to include pictures. A gentle reminder to avoid including pictures of Prophet Muhammad or Allah in your mind maps, or depicting both of Prophet Muhammad and Allah in any way, as that's considered to be disrespectful in Islam. So you must include different information about different features of the mosque, and I'm going to show you how you can do this and explain some of those features to you. So first of all, let's start right at the beginning. What is a mosque? So a mosque, or sometimes called masjid in Arabic, here in Thailand you'll also see it referred to as a masjid, is a place of prayer for Muslims or followers of the religion Islam. The first mosque was the courtyard in the home of Muhammad, who is Islam's prophet, messenger of God. Islam's prophet, who is a messenger of God, I should say. Today, many mosques are large buildings with beautiful towers and domes. The inside of a mosque always includes an open space for worship or prayer. Our school, Shrewsbury, is situated in an area that has a Muslim population, and there are many mosques very close to school, some of which some students in Year 11 and Year 10, if you choose GCSE Religion, Philosophy and Ethics, go to visit and learn about the mosque and why people go to worship there. So why is a mosque important? Okay, so a mosque is an important place for Muslims to pray and to worship their God, or Allah in Arabic. Muslims pray 5 times a day. This is known as salah, and the word masjid means a place of prostration. Now, prostration means to bend down and to show respect or mercy to God. Many mosques are also an important place to bring the community together, and many activities take place there. The mosque might also include a school for studying the Quran. This is known as a madrasa. They might hold charity and social events, a sports hall, a youth club. They also hold special celebrations there, for example, birthing ceremonies or naming ceremonies. Marriages and burials also happen at the mosque. Lots of modern mosques also include things like a games room, a reading room, and counselling services for the people that attend. It's a very important place to bring the community together. So, what are the different features of the mosque? A mosque has many important external, outside, and internal features. And through this task, we'd like you to get to know a little bit more about the Muslim community by learning about these different features. These features include the minaret, the san, the dome, which are all external features, which means you'll see them on the outside of a mosque, and the minbar, mihrab, and washing areas, which are internal, which are on the inside of a mosque. You need to know more about these different architectural features for your challenge. And all of the information you need to know is in the following link, Features of the Mosque. So if I click on this one, which has also been shared with you, tells you a little bit more about what happens when you visit a mosque. So let's have a little look at the features of a mosque. Here is a mosque in Abu Dhabi, in United Arab Emirates, very famous mosque and quite traditional looking architectural model of a mosque. So these slides will give you information about the features of the mosque for your illustrations, designs, and your eventual model making. So before we get started, there are some important things you need to know. I mentioned this already. When you are creating your mosque, you've got to remember there are no statues or pictures in a mosque. This is in case people begin to treat them like an idol, or instead of worshipping God, they begin to worship Prophet Muhammad, who was a man and not a god, or they'll start worshipping pictures. So instead, they have lots of different colourful tiles and lots of different Arabic writing. Here is a lovely example of some beautiful Arabic writing and Arabic tiles that you can see in a mosque here in Turkey. I remember that in art, you might have done some Islamic artwork and Islamic tiles, so a little bit of crossover with art there. So representations of God or spiritual beings are regarded as blasphemous, and in many cases are quite misleading. So pictures of Prophet Muhammad, for example, would be considered to be guesswork and might give a false impression. Muslims believe that you can't really understand what the Prophet or God would look like, and therefore to create a picture of them would to do them injustice. So please avoid adding any pictures to your mosque. Instead, you can get very creative and add some Arabic kind of depictions or writing or designs in your mosque. So mosque design. It's really important to know that mosques are incredibly beautiful. They're not dull places. They have rich carpets, often scarlet or green, brightly patterned tiles, marble pillars, huge chandeliers, and intricate stonework and stained glass windows. Around the world, there are many different types of mosques as well. I'm going to talk to you about that in just a moment. But I want you to start thinking about what sort of design you might include when you go on to make your mosque in step 3. Now, I'm sure some of you have visited a mosque before. You certainly have an opportunity to do so if you choose religious studies later on. But before entering a mosque, very similar to if you went to visit a Buddhist temple, you would remove your shoes to show as a sign of respect. Muslims also perform a ritual washing. Now, this is known as wudu, this word here. Wudu is perhaps one of my most favourite words. Fantastic word, wudu. And what this is a way to wash and purify before going in to worship God. There will be a place to keep the shoes outside the mosque and a fountain, tap or special washroom to perform the ritual washing or wudu. This ensures cleanliness and prepares Muslims for prayer or salah. In the mosque, they will have an imam. An imam is a teacher or prayer leader who stands in front of other worshippers in the mosque and leads the Muslim community. Now, to be an imam, you must have excellent knowledge of the Quran, which is the Muslim holy book. You must lead the prayers or salah. You must also be well respected and organise social and charity events and many other things. Now, the designs of a mosque can vary according to culture, identity, technology, social and political influences, as you'll see on the next slide. However, there are a number of key architectural features that many mosques have in common. Here, I've put together a selection of different mosques from around the world, and you'll start to see and identify some similarities, but also some kind of stark differences about the architectural design. Here is a mosque that I visited in Delhi, in India. Very traditional mosque with lots of kind of Mughal influences and Indian influences there. This is Masjid Wilayla, where Year 10 and Year 11 students visited in Kuala Lumpur. Now, this mosque is a very large, kind of grand mosque, and actually takes its designs from lots of different cultures from around the world. This one, Sheikh Zayed in UAE, is a very famous mosque. I know that lots of students have told me that they visited this place before, and it's very kind of recognisable because of its white marble. It kind of shines out. This one is a mosque that I would absolutely love to visit. It's called the Great Mosque of Djen in Mali in Africa. And as you can see, it's very much influenced by the kind of desert landscape. And it's very kind of different to quite a lot of the other mosques that you might come across. It's incredibly different and cool. I just love to visit it. Here, very similar, you can see a mosque with the influences of Chinese culture. This is a mosque in Beijing, again, very much influenced by Chinese architecture. And here on the right-hand side, you have Masjid Jamal in Ayutthaya in Thailand. Again, quite similar to lots of the other buildings that you might see in Thai architecture, but also stands out with some of its key features where you can see quite clearly that it is a mosque. So in the next couple of slides, I want you to see how you might recognise the features of a mosque. So in this next bit, I'm going to talk about the eternal outside features of a mosque. And I'm going to talk through every little bit because you're going to have an opportunity to go through it. But features of a mosque external could be things like a sarn or a courtyard. This allows for kind of a place for the community to get together. Many mosques also have a dome. Now the dome has different kind of purposes to it. One, sometimes it's a symbolic representation of the vault of heaven, but it also has a more practical use. It's also used for amplifying sound, especially back in the day when people didn't have microphones and that sort of thing. The dome allowed for the sound to travel around the mosque. Here is a minaret. Most of the time you can recognise a mosque by the feature of a minaret. It's a tall, slender tower, typically part of a mosque, and has a small balcony. This is for the purpose of the call to prayer, where a Muslim who is a Muslim who's assigned to do the call to prayer will go to the minaret and sing out and call Muslims to come to pray. To have a look at that, you can come back to this slide and listen to an example of this. Okay, I've used an example from London, where a Muslim, a man who calls Muslims to prayer from the minaret in the mosque. Another way that you can call the prayer or the call to prayer is the adhan. Okay, and what the Muslim does is 5 times a day they will go to the mosque and they will sing or do the call to prayer. Now, if you live at Chatrium, you might hear this because we live in, people who live there live in a close vicinity to a mosque on Charoen Krung, so you might actually hear that happening. Okay, but yeah, take a moment and have a little look. You can go back and look at this, the adhan, the call to prayer. Now we're going to have a look at the inside features of the mosque. You have inside features such as the minbar. Now the minbar is just a kind of platform in a traditional kind of wooden staircase, which means the imam or the preacher who's going to talk to the congregation can go to the top and can be heard and seen from everybody else. It's really important to remember that the imam is not considered to be better than anybody else. This is just more of a practical thing so that he or she can be heard across the mosque and towards the back of the mosque. Then you have the mihrab. The mihrab is a niche in the wall of the mosque. And what this does is tell Muslims which way to pray. And all Muslims pray in the direction of Mecca. The direction of Mecca is also known as the Qibla. Okay, so Muslims will know, looking at this niche, looking at the mihrab in the mosque, that this is the direction that needs to be, they need to pray in. Now, mihrabs are usually beautifully decorated with coloured tiles and text from the Quran. Sometimes known as the niche of light and the symbol for divine presence in the heart. So when you include your internal feature of the Qibla later on in your design, or the internal feature of the mihrab and the Qibla, the direction of Mecca, have a real kind of think about what sort of Arabic design you might include there. Okay, it has quite a lot of detail in it. Next one I've already mentioned, this is the washroom. This is where Muslims can go to perform their ritual purity or their wudu. And another feature I've mentioned already, the madrasa. This is where Muslims can go after their usual school hours to learn the Quran and to learn about Islam from their teachers. I have students at Shrewsbury who also participate and go to the madrasa, and lots of students go there to learn and be with their Muslim community. Another thing you might see in the mosque, more of a practical feature, is a prayer mat. It's often placed between the ground and the worshipper to ensure cleanliness. So, just to give you a little bit of an insight into a mosque, I've included a 360-degree virtual reality tour of Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque in Abu Dhabi. So you can have a click on this one and you can come back and have a look at it. Hopefully it's going to work. And it goes into a 3D virtual reality tour. And you can go through there and you can begin to explore different features of that mosque. Okay, so you can have a little look at the little features and start thinking about why those features are important. Okay, I'll let you have a little look at that one. If I go back out. Cool. So there's quite a lot of key terms there. So I've shared this PowerPoint with you and you can go back at it, look at it at any time. You can also, with this pre-recorded lesson, of course, you can pause it and go back and listen again. That would be very useful for the next task. But to also help you, I've shared with you a keyword glossary. And in that keyword glossary, all of the things that I've just talked about, all of the external, internal features of a mosque. So do take a look at that. That's been shared with you in your classroom stream and will definitely be helpful for you later on. Now, if you ever get to a point where you've finished a task and you're not quite sure what to do, then you can go ahead and practice keywords on flashcards and just let me know you're done and I'll direct you or send you the link. So some other useful resources. I've included some stuff from the BBC, some stuff for Year 7 and Year 8 students, so feel free to have a look at those as well. And you can also go back and have a look at that video I said at the beginning of the lesson. So I'm going to go back, because I've talked quite a long time now, I'm going to go back and just recap you on the task for today. So your task for today is to think about the features of the mosque. So for step 2, I would like you to create a second mind map, this time with the title All About the Mosque, and you must include information about those different features. Okay. Now, you're probably going to have 2 lessons to do this, so I want it to be done well. Please make sure you're doing it in the time allocated, and if you have any questions or you're not sure about any of the features, feel free to get in touch in the Hangout. All right. Okay, Year 8, best of luck. I'm very much looking forward to seeing your mind map. I think it's very important that you do your mind map first and you understand and gain a little bit of knowledge about the external and internal features of the mosque before you go on to step 3. So best of luck. Any questions, let me know.